Hey everybody, this is Pat and Heidi from Rain Country Homestead, and today we wanted to talk to you about holidays and why we really don't, as a general note, celebrate them. And it could be a controversial topic for those out there, Christian and non-Christian alike. And if you're not a Christian, bear with us because that's just who we are, and we're sharing you with our life, so we don't really hide a whole lot. This is who we are.
And this isn't all just about religion, though, either.
No, it
There's
isn't.
a lot more
It's
to
just
it than that.
there's two main facets to this topic. One is religious, and the second one is the commercialized version of it. And we can talk about that part first. So those of you who don't like us cramming Christianity down your throat, you can sign off at an earlier time or whatever you want to do. But we encourage everybody and anybody to come in and view our content and glean from it whatever they choose to glean from it. And so anyway, so let's talk about the commercialized version or reason why we don't celebrate in general the holidays. The one main reason is we want to break away. Part of our channel is to break away from the norm, break away from the system, become individuals and self-sufficient, self-reliant, and get to the point where we're not led around by the nose ring, by society, by your television set, by government agencies, etc., etc. Now, some of this stuff you have more control over than others, obviously. But holidays is one of those things where you can take the reins on that and do with it what you want. Growing up, both of us, we participated in Christmas and Easter and Halloween and all of these things. Valentine's Day.
So
Even
on.
growing up as a child, I always wondered about the Halloween thing and wondered about the Christmas thing and wondered about any of this stuff that actually forced us or guilted you into participating in these different holidays. And as we got older, younger parents and different things, you're still led around by guilt and the obligation to buy everybody in the family gifts and so on and so forth. And we try to maintain a Christian aspect of celebrating Jesus' birth and being grateful and setting our minds aside some time to reflect on what Jesus did on being born into this earth and being resurrected in Easter and all that good fun stuff. We got tired of being manipulated into, oh gosh, we have to get so-and-so something, and we have to get this person over here something. Oh, we got invited over to this place, so we have to get gifts for everybody to fit in and feel like we needed to,
do the right
thing. And gosh, if we don't get them something, then we're going to feel guilty or feel like we're heels or whatever the case may be. They're going to feel guilty because tightwads, or they're going to feel bad because they got us something and we didn't get them something. So on and so forth.
It's all about guilt.
And we were putting a lot of stuff on a credit card, and we would go into debt in order to make the holidays work. We're talking mainly about Christmas. There's the Easter thing where you got to have Easter baskets and all this other stuff, and the new dress for church or whatever it is your thing is. I don't know, but we wanted to break away from all of that. And so the commercialized version of Christmas is we just sat down and said, you know what? And we started doing this a little bit when the kids were still in the house, but we really didn't hit it heavy until after they'd left.
grown and gone.
Right, and so we wished we would have applied this a little bit more in our earlier years,
Yep.
but we started to separate ourselves from the whole on the bandwagon and running out and
Doing everything the way society dictated it.
exactly. So after, because, let's focus on Christmas for a minute. Realistically, you're surrounded by the wreath and the Christmas tree and all those things, which actually didn't originate. Keep going back to Christ, the religious
It has nothing to do
aspect,
with Christianity.
but it has nothing to do with Christianity. It has
None of it.
everything to do with starting out in pagan traditions. But anyway, everybody is focused on, gosh, this day we have to do that. This day we have to do this. So if the Christmas pageant, even if you're in church, you got all these different things, extra things you have to do during Christmas, and you have to buy during Christmas, and you have to prepare during Christmas. Are you really focusing on what Christmas is about? And that is the heart or the spirit of giving, right?
Yeah.
And that's a whole
spirit of Christmas.
yeah, and that's
don't-
enough.
yeah,
And that's another
another-
subject, and we can go into that a little bit more further along. And Heidi is itching to get on a soapbox, so I'm
trying to stay quiet. That's why I'm letting him talk first.
If you notice our videos, I'm usually the one that opens, and she's usually the one that kind of finishes out because she's a little bit more wordy than I am, and it's not an insult, but it's kind of the way we work
true.
together, and we tease each other all the time, and maybe some of y'all don't know how to take that, but that's just who we are. We've been
Married for 29 years.
29 years and together for 31.
Something like that, yep.
So we've learned each other. We tease each other all the time, and that's what makes our relationship great. Anyway,
And I don't mind being called Old Blister. That's a term of endearment. In
Yeah.
fact, if he called me darling instead of Old Blister, I'd wonder what happened.
yeah, she'd look at me.
Or
what's wrong?
Honey Pot. That's another
What
one he
do
calls
you
me.
want? Anyway, back on the subject. Let's get back on the tracks here.
I found it.
And so we wanted to separate ourselves from the commercialized, you have to do this, you're expected to do that. And, if you want to, during the winter solstice, think about Jesus Christ, or think about giving, or think about working at the food bank, or whatever your thing is, that's all fine and good.
Yep.
But we're not going to go into debt. It came to the point where we had so many different people that we were actually getting gifts for. It was actually just trash. It was just junk, little trinkets. So, because we had a pretty big base of folks that we actually gave to, and we got to the point, it's like, this just isn't worth it. It takes you 3 months to pay off your credit cards after you get done buying all this trash for people.
Yeah,
It's just like, what?
Yeah.
Let's just get together and everybody, bring something to eat and let's just spend time together. I'm sure we get talked about. I'm sure people look at the side of their eyes and whisper in the corner and all this other stuff. But we got to the point where we just don't. We're not playing that game anymore. We're not being, the merchants out there or the people who sell stuff online or whatever the case may be for a major profit during the holidays. They're just rubbing their hands together and they're counting your money. We're so practical, it's terrible. So anyway, I'm going to hand the reins over to my lovely wife and let her get on her soapbox.
So really, Patrick said pretty much most of it right there. He covered quite a bit of it. I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail. Now, while we were still celebrating Christmas with the kids, our way of trying to separate it from the rest of the world was to, obviously, to make it more about Christ and more about our faith and less about whatever the world, definitely not Santa Claus. Nothing like that. Though we did take a time where I was looking into St. Nicholas Day, which is December 6th, and we would do that. That's where the whole gift giving thing actually came into play, was this, celebrating St. Nicholas. And we actually did that for a little while until I got to looking further into that and decided, this isn't very cool either. But that's how Santa, St. Nicholas, got involved in Christmas, is they kind of got conglomerated into one big holiday. And, I'll talk more about the religious aspects of it later. You'll just kind of hear us keep touching on it because it is a big thing there. And why, Christmas really had never, ever in its beginnings had anything to do with Christ. So yeah, a lot of people mention commercialism as a standard word, but it was more than that. It's about, like what he said, we are being forced by society to celebrate different holidays. So let's go on to some others. Like what about Mother's Day? And what about Valentine's Day? Valentine's Day has pretty deep, dark roots that aren't good. Even St. Patrick's Day, a lot of us have learned the story of where St. Patrick came from.
Don't touch St. Patrick's Day.
Quit, Patrick. But what is it even if any of that is true, what does it now become? Right. Easter is not at all Christian. Yes, there's Passover. Yes, there's resurrection. Christ rising from the dead, and that's all great. But Easter isn't about Christ. Easter itself, what's it about? It's about, looking at it from the commercial standpoint, it's about society, especially big corporations, taking advantage of people and guilting them into doing things, especially like Valentine's Day. If you don't get your sweetheart chocolates or do something special and fancy, or take them out to dinner, or take your mom out to dinner, or your wife out to dinner on Mother's Day, then you are a poor child, or, a bad husband. And, that just really started to irritate me more and more and more. And I tell my kids, you know what? You don't have to do anything for me for Mother's Day. I don't expect anything. Sometimes they still do. They know how I feel, but it's like, even Mother's Day has roots in paganism, but again, side issue. I hate being guilted into doing something. And then what happens at Christmas when it comes to the gift giving? Typically, because we're so strapped for cash, trying to get good gifts for everyone that we feel obligated to buy for. Some people, yes, we do enjoy buying things for. But typically, those are going to be the people that we know the most, and we really know what they want and they need. But everyone else in the family or friends were like, okay, I got to get them something. I don't even know what they want or need. I don't know what they can use other than something that's way out of my price range. And so what do you end up getting? You end up getting them some garbage that they don't need, or it's just going to sit around and need to be dusted. And what a waste. Wouldn't it just make more sense to set aside a little money for yourself and say, I'm going to go buy myself something I want or need? And, okay, well, what's the fun in that? You're taking away the gift giver.
What if everybody set aside the whole commercialized version of the holidays, or just got rid of all the holidays, and you might set aside a little bit of money every month, and when you found somebody in need in the family or each other, what's wrong with getting them some sort of meaningful gift, or give them some cash? It's funny, people buy you all kinds of stuff. And wouldn't it make more, here's the practical side of me again, wouldn't it make much more sense to say, that person can really use $100 right now? Set that money aside a little bit more every month, and set that money aside and say, you know what, you're going through a hard time, and here's $100. And that's going to have a lot more impact than saying, gosh, here you spend $20, $25, $30 on a Foreman grill, because I don't think they got one. And they end up buying something and sending it to them, and you sit down and everybody's throwing paper and all kinds of stuff during some sort of setting together, like pre-Christmas or whatever. And thank you very much. I've always wanted one of these.
What am I gonna do
Thank
with
you
now?
very much. Anyway, just a thought. And that should be what we do. It doesn't have to be on a birthday. It don't have to be at Christmas. It
Right.
don't have to be any time of the year. Just when something arises. And gosh, that $1,000, $2,000 that you end up spending at Christmas time or whatever, gosh, that could really benefit somebody somewhere somehow. A lot better than a whole bunch of watered down trinkets that you,
Yep.
like she said, you have to sit around and dust and
Or ends up in a
figure out.
landfill or given away.
Yeah,
or
I don't know how many
grab
garage
it back
sales.
up and give it to somebody else for Christmas or the birthday.
Yeah, and overcome the guilt doing that, But how many different garage sales have you guys gone to, and saw all kinds of these different trinkets and gadgets that have been for sale for 50 cents for a buck or whatever.
A lot of that was Christmas gifts.
All that was Christmas gifts, and all that
Birthday
stuff's
gifts and
brand
whatnot.
new, and it's all something that somebody had spent, good money trying to spend their hard-earned time, hard-earned money, and going into a mental breakdown just to try to figure out what to get for somebody. Anyway, here's your soapbox.
Yeah, and
back.
so you think what the most thoughtful gift is the one that you need the most when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, I'm sorry, your car broke down. It's still 2 months before Christmas, so you're gonna have to go without until Christmas or your birthday or whatever. I'm not saying you're necessarily gonna buy a person a brand new car unless you can afford it, but maybe you could help them, get it fixed so that they can have it, or or even something more simple. Let's say the woman that uses her mixer a lot, she uses it every day, and all of a sudden it breaks down. Oh, well, you still got 2 months before your birthday or Mother's Day, so you're gonna have to wait to make anything, dear, until then. It's gonna mean a lot more. It's like, I need this right now. You run out and buy it for that person and said, here, I'm doing this for you because I love you and I know how much this means to you. That's so much more meaningful.
Right.
And that's going to be remembered far more than that little trinket that you opened up on Christmas Day or your birthday or Mother's Day or Valentine's Day that has no purpose. And so that's the kind of thing that we're talking about. And the more we look at this stuff and the more that we've pulled away, we started small. Okay, we didn't just suddenly just go cold turkey. It started by not doing a Christmas tree anymore because we learned what the Christmas tree stood for. And let's get rid of the Christmas tree. Then we stopped doing other things. And then we just kind of started downsizing more and more and more. And now we do still get together with our kids on the evening of Christmas Day, December 25th, simply because our son invites us over for dinner. It's a great family time. There's no gift exchanging going on. We don't do any of that Christmas stuff here. It's a great time for us to get together with family. We're invited, we go, we enjoy ourselves. That's what it is. We might play some games and just have fun. Now if you're wondering, well, what do you do? What else do you do? I mean, if we were to stop going over to our kids for Christmas, that would actually not be so bad, because now the thing that we're doing is we're making up the difference by creating our own holidays and our own family days. And we just had our first one last month, and it was just loads of fun, and we kept it small because we're just kind of getting this thing off the ground. And it was just basically it was just us and our kids. We played games, we ate good food, we had a wonderful time. And now we're doing another one. Probably by the time this video comes out, it's either going to be this day, the night that this video comes out, or somewhere around there. And it's going to be bigger. We're inviting a lot more family. And we're just going to let it grow from there and see how many of these we can do per year, because we believe that getting together with family is incredibly important. We need to keep those bonds, especially if you're more prepper minded or whatever. You want to keep strong bonds and like-mindedness with those that you love. Even if they still celebrate the holidays, you can still find other ways to really grow those relationships where there's nothing involved that requires them to have to run out and buy you a gift. They can just bring their favorite dish. If they were going to cook dinner anyway, well, just bring it over. We can have a potluck meal, and I'll make something, you make something. Everybody gets to benefit from it, and then you can take home what doesn't get eaten, and it can be your dinner the next night. No big deal. and you're doing fun things that are causing you to think and to get closer together. You're not just giving gifts and throwing paper everywhere and there's just nothing but chaos. You're actually focusing more on the time, not the gifts, or not what you are told the holiday is supposed to be about, and not being guilted into it.
Right.
Another thing I want to talk about is birthdays, for instance. Now, we still acknowledge people on their birthdays a little bit here and there, but one of the reasons I pulled away from that is not necessarily because I think birthday celebrations are pagan. I haven't looked deeply into it, but I've seen some things change in modern society when it comes to birthdays. So with the advent of Facebook and Facebook calendars, now suddenly nobody remembers your birthday. Family and friends that used to always remember your birthday now never remember it. See, unless you have your birthday public on Facebook, which I do not. I purposely took it off. The main reason I took it off there was because it began to be about a whole bunch of people coming in and saying, oh, happy birthday. Because why? Because they felt obligated because Facebook told them to say happy birthday to you. I really hated that. I wanted people to tell me happy birthday because they remembered and they actually cared, not because they were told to do it. But then what happened was I found that fewer and fewer people, even the people that used to remember my birthday every year, actually remember my birthday anymore. It's like, in fact, the one person that I know that remembers it every single year, which just blows me away, is actually one of my old dance students, of all people. And, and Patrick and I just don't make big deal about each other's birthday, and so it doesn't matter. And it doesn't help that my birthday and our anniversary are 2 days apart, and my son's birthday is right in between the two.
I get by pretty good because our anniversary and her birthday
and Ryan's birthday.
Well, as far as me having to give her gifts, because I always got by her pretty cheap. I can buy her a $5 trinket for her anniversary. And
he did more than that, but usually it's he brings me buckets and buckets of horse manure. That's my anniversary birthday gift all in one. And
I had to go out and buy the backhoe and maintain it, and my time, time is worth 50 cents an hour. And
I usually try to remember to make him some raspberry turnovers or pie or something like that on his birthday. Oh, quit. But it's just not something we make a big deal of. But yeah, I mean, it's just this kind of trend, and that just bothered me. Why should we say happy birthday to someone just because Facebook told us to do it?
Yeah, right.
I appreciate the fact that this one dance student of mine, and Kaylee, I'm talking about you if you just happen to be watching this video. She doesn't have to be told. She has no Facebook reminders, but she remembers, and she sends me a private message or puts it on Facebook, and I appreciate that. And it's very cool. But honestly, I mean, just in case anybody else is watching this, I don't want them to don't feel guilty if you forgot. Really, it's not a big deal. I got to where I don't remember a lot of birthdays anymore either, because as we get to be older, first of all, birthdays just aren't that important to us. And, if our own birthdays aren't important to us, then it's kind of hard for us to think about other people's birthdays being important. And we get busy, so that's understandable. I'm not trying to say that, anything bad about that. But again, it just comes back to the whole idea that we're being told we have to do this for people's birthdays, for Valentine's Day, for all these different things, when the reality is why? Why are we allowing society to tell us what we should do? We should create our own. If we want special things, special times with family and friends, create it yourself. Make it be different. Put it on a different day. Have your own special traditions that you come up with that you're not going to enforce on anyone else. It's just between you and your family and friends. And I think that's really important because it plays across every other aspect of our life. About our frugality. Just think how much money you can save when you're not spending on a bunch of junk for people that you maybe don't even like or care about, and you're actually putting it into good, necessary things that either you or your family and friends need at the time that they need it.
Right.
Now, just to touch real quickly, I just don't want this video to be about this. I'm going to go ahead and go into the religious aspect of it. And I only am going to say this because for those who are Christians and think, why would a Christian not celebrate Christ's birth? Or Easter, for instance. Well, I'm going to say it again. You probably hear it too much. But every single one of those holidays is rooted in paganism and, in satanic Luciferian traditions. And they really should be looked at more seriously and consider. We need to worship God in spirit and truth. We are told not to learn the ways of the heathens and then try to apply them to Christianity. And that's what Christmas and Easter are. Easter, that seems like a harder one to separate because we know that we actually know when the time, Passover and when Christ rose again, where we don't know when Jesus was born. We certainly know it was not December 25th, which is the birthday of other gods. And so everything about Christmas, everything that you think is even Christian about Christmas, right down to the celebration of a Messiah, a Savior's birthday, was never initially about Christ. And there's a lot of thought on when it actually was. And to me, it doesn't really matter because
it's getting consequential.
Here's the other thing. Where in Scripture are we told to celebrate Christ's birth?
Right.
Where? Not once. And then that reminds me, we know when Christ rose again, not the actual date, but the time period, at least around there. How come the Bible never told us when Jesus was born, the actual date? There's a reason for that. I believe the reason for that is because we were never supposed to worship that day. And should we remember what Christ did for us? Yes. In his birth, in his life, and in his death and resurrection. These are important. We are told by Jesus himself in Scripture that whenever you take this bread, remember me. Right? That's what we're told. That had nothing to do with Christmas. That didn't have anything to do with Easter. Okay? You have to know the difference between Passover and Easter and resurrection. These are all different. Even Good Friday is off base. You can look into these things yourself because it can get really in depth. Valentine's Day is very, very dark. Easter, as far as Easter eggs and things like that, also very dark. And none of that belongs in the life of a Christian. Now, I'm not trying to sound judgmental or whatever. I'm just saying you got to look into it for yourself and decide for you and your family what's going to work for you. I'm just explaining these things to you because this is why we don't participate.
Yeah, we don't look down our nose.
Right.
Think anything bad about anybody who does this stuff. It's just, it has to be an individual.
Because we've all been there. We used to do the Easter egg hunts with the kids, and we even used to celebrate Halloween. Halloween was the first thing we got rid of when I just started feeling wrong about it. I pulled out an old encyclopedia, looked up the part about Halloween that was about that long, read it to the kids, and they were 3 and 6 at the time. Or maybe a little bit older than that, but somewhere close to there. And my oldest son said, if that's what Halloween is about, we should not be celebrating it, and we quit.
Out of mouth of babes.
Right. and then things kind of progressed from there, and the more I looked into the different things, the more I thought, you know what? And then it just came down to, even Thanksgiving, there's things there. We still do that. That's the one holiday we still do because, again, it's a good time for us to be able to get all of our family to come here and enjoy a good meal together. But there's even things about that aren't necessarily pagan, but some kind of dark roots there that are like, what are we really celebrating here? You got to kind of question. But I still am going to hang on to that one for now because it is a great family time for us. And so I say that as an example, as you got to decide. A lot of times, sometimes it is hard to separate from certain holiday big ones like Christmas and Thanksgiving because these are days that everybody has off because of that. Everybody in America, well, not everybody, but most people have that day off. So it's also the easiest time for everyone to get together, which again is why we go to our son's house for dinner because it's like, yay, this is one of those times we all don't have to schedule to have the day off. We just have it off. And so that works. Whereas for our little family get-togethers, we have to try to plan around a day that we know that people can get off and make plans ahead. And even if it's a day they may have to work, because there's always somebody working, you know, like our youngest son works every Saturday and Sunday. And so it's, trying to schedule around that stuff is a little trickier. But you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it because it's family that we love and it's important to us. So, anyway, I think that's pretty much it. And as far as the holiday thing and the religious aspect, if you're curious, just take the time to really research it yourself and don't just trust, like I say on everything, if you just go to web pages, don't trust just one web page, because there are some things out there that you hear is like, oh, this is really bad. Some things like the whole thing about the Easter eggs being dyed with blood, I don't think that's true. I think that's not actually true, but you got it. So don't necessarily buy everything you read. Cross-reference everything, look into it, pray about it, and make those decisions for yourself and your family. And don't let us tell you should or shouldn't celebrate it. That's the whole idea of this.
Yeah, you can't believe
don't
everything
let
on
anyone
YouTube.
else tell you what you should do with you and your family.
Right.
And that's why we are making our choices, because we're not going to let society dictate to us how, why, and what we should celebrate.
Right.
So, and that's it. That's really it in a nutshell.
Well, before she gets another breath here, we'll go ahead and cut off with that then, huh?
Yeah.
And we appreciate you stopping by. Again, if you celebrate any of these holidays, we don't think anything
Nope.
bad about you guys
Not at
or
all.
nothing. It's just fine and dandy. We've had people come in and wish us a Merry Christmas and all that stuff. I know you have.
And
good
we're
well
not
wish-
offended.
And I know you have good well wishes, and that's just what we do at Christmas time. People send us
all
Christmas
good.
cards and stuff like that. We love
we
you for
appreciate
it.
that, too.
We appreciate
Yep.
and we appreciate you guys showing up and checking out the video.
And thanks for watching,
Take care.
and God bless.